Okay, we are back to the second part of our presentation this day, and we'll be looking at debugging with ChatGPT, a hands-on session. So let's get into that proper. Learning how to use ChatGPT for debugging or any use case at all is actually learning how to communicate with it, because basically uh, this is an AI. Of course, you need to communicate with it. You need to give it needs to understand you, so that it can actually interpret or process your request and then give you a response. And the process of communicating with AI like ChatGPT or any natural language processing chatbots is actually called prompting. And prompting is an art, and there's a lot to prompting, but for this short example, we'll not be going to the details of prompting. Here I'll be prompting, but not going to the technicalities that surround it. It's a whole new field on its own, prompt engineering. And if you want to learn more about prompting, you can actually go do the research on the internet. There are several courses that can teach you how to effectively prompt. And because the better your prompting, the more accurate the response you will get from ChatGPT. The more streamlined your prompting, the more narrowed down your prompt is, the more elaborate or explained your prompt may be, then the more specific the response should be. But if your prompt is too broad, then probably you will be getting broader kind of responses. So it's important to work on getting the right prompt, and you do that by practice. You have to try and error until you get the right prompt. So let's get to the process of actually using ChatGPT to debug our code. How do we use it? Yes, it starts with identifying the problem. And normally when you have your code, you have a code written down, and then it's giving you some errors, giving you some bugs. Of course, you might know what is wrong if you're experienced, and at times you might not even know what's wrong, and that is why ChatGPT comes to help. And that is why the first thing is to identify the problem. When you know the problem, then you can then start thinking of how to get a solution. So once you get the problem, of course, then you can ask the right question. You can actually prompt, give the right prompt, explain your problem, then you get a very close solution to your problem. And then the next thing is to test. Once you isolate the problem, you can then test the solution that ChatGPT has given to you. If it's what solve the problem, you can then think of optimizing it, because at times it solves the problem, but then the code might not be optimal. But with this iteration, you get the problem, you try it, and then you optimize. You can get a very good working clean code. So let's get into the um, practice proper. So I'm taking you to my editor now, so you can see what we have to do. Okay, so we are here. This is my VS Code, and I've set up a very simple web application. It's just a HTML file, so it's not something too difficult to comprehend. And I've tried to integrate React using the CDN, Content Delivery Network, to make it very simple, so I don't have to try writing entire React code just for it. So I just have this single page HTML file, and then I've integrated React using the CDN link. Let's see what's wrong to our code. We'll go to the browser and then see what happens. So I've already started the my server. So I'll go to the browser now, and then you'll see what we have there. Okay, so now we have the browser. Okay, so now we're in the browser, and then you can see I will go to the browser and then show you us what probably is coming up as an error. So in my browser here, I've actually uh, tried to run this React code, but then nothing's coming up. It's just a simple application that should just come, that should show some text on the screen, but then nothing's coming up. That means something is wrong. So to verify that something is wrong, I'll open up the developer tools. I will inspect my the application, go to the console, and then behold, there's an error there. It says, let me see. Okay, fine. It says uncaught syntax error. Expected expression got this. So basically, this is an error. So to fix this error, I'll have to copy. Of course, now to get into ChatGPT, I'll copy this error and then go to ChatGPT. But before then, let's let's launch ChatGPT and get it working. Let's get it working, and then we can then come back to the browser for error. Okay, so let's get ChatGPT working now. Okay, so I'm now in the browser, and then okay, let me show us that on the screen. Should be able to see my screen. Okay. Okay, so now you can see the ChatGPT screen. I just typed the website chat.openai.com, and then have to log in. If you don't have an account already, you can sign up with your Google account or some other or with your email. So I have to log in, and I'll use Google. So I'll do that, and then I'll pick one of my Google accounts here, and then log in with that. Okay, so you can see I'm here. Then just go next, next, and then done. So we are in Chat GPT, and this is the interface where you can chat. You have the message box and text box where you type your message, your prompt, your query, and then you send it by pressing enter, and then it comes back with a response. So let's look at what we have in our browser. We actually run our application, and then it gives us an error that we can't really assume we don't understand what the error is all about. So we want to see how to fix this error, because looking at your code or looking at the code we have, and we probably don't understand what is wrong. So let's assume we don't understand. So I will just copy this error as is, and then move over to ChatGPT. And then first of all, I want to give some context, like what am I doing? What app am I trying to build? And then why is the error come? So then to a context, some context of where the error is coming from. At least tell it what you know, and then with what you know and and then give it what you don't know, you can then come up with something uh, close to the solution to the problem. So the first thing I'll say, okay, I am building a a simple React app integrated. Okay, add in an an HTML page, and integrating the React via the CDN link. Via the CDN link. When I run this app in the browser, I get following error message. So I just have that. I'll just paste the error message here. So basically, this is what is called prompting. So you are explaining to the AI, to ChatGPT, what you are trying to do. I'm building a simple React app in an HTML page, integrating the React via the CDN link. When I run the app in the browser, I get the following error message. So I could say, okay, fine. This is just enough for now. So let's give it a try and see what this comes up with. So I will send this out to ChatGPT. I will just send the message and the prompt, and then I'll see what it gives me. Okay, so I've run the prompt, and then it says the error message you are encountering suggests that there might be an issue with the way you are including the React library via the CDN link. This error typically occurs when the browser encounters a character that it doesn't expect, such as this symbol, which is commonly found in HTML markup. To resolve this issue, ensure that you are including the correct CDN link for React. It's important to use the appropriate URLs and script tags. Okay, so looking at this solution, it is thinking the problem is with my links for React. But let's go to the browser or to the code and see where the problem, and see if there's a problem actually. Let's see what was wrong. Would that be the problem? Would that be the problem? Let's find out. Okay, so now let's look at our code. And looking at what we have here, I think this link is correct. And because if you compare this with what it is giving me, they look alike. I mean, so that means this is not a problem. So what I want to do now is to elaborate more, probably go back to ChatGPT and then tell it that I actually use the correct link and I still get the problem. So let's see what happens. Back to ChatGPT now. Okay, so let's say something. And as you can see here, and ChatGPT actually explains what they think is the problem and then provides a solution to that. So this is an interesting one. You could learn a lot by just using ChatGPT to explain code for you. So let's go on and tell it, okay, I already use the correct React link, but see the error. So just giving it more information. Just in the same thread, it actually can interpret or understand that you have given it and some information before, and it can actually understand the current information based on the previous context or the context you are working within. So let's see how it comes up with a response now. So I've asked, I've just told it that I've actually used the right link. So what else could be wrong? So it is thinking, this is called thinking, and it's thinking. So let's see if it has something for us. Okay, it has already come up with some suggestions. So now, and the next step will be to do this. I will just come back to my VS Code, and then I'll copy my entire code. That's the next action I will do, because it has not come to the solution yet, because it is giving me some suggestions which are great, but probably not the solution I want. So I'll copy my entire code and say, this is my code. So copy the entire code and paste it, and then I'll allow it to run, to process the code, and then let it come up with a response based on the code I've given to it. So initially, I decided to just write a prompt without giving it a code. It was a bit too generic, and it came up with a generic response, which of course was expected. But now I'm going more specific now. Copy my code with the error in the code. Assume I don't know where the error is, just copying the code to and pasting it into ChatGPT, and then allowing it to come up with a more specific response or solution to the problem. So from what we have already, it is working with all the information I've given so far, and then it's going to come up with something. So it's thinking. So it's thinking. Let's see what it comes up with. Well, ChatGPT can be very, very exciting and interesting to use, and you'll be amazed at what it gives you, at the things you discover by using it, and at how much you will learn or probably understand codes that you didn't even write by just throwing the code into ChatGPT and asking for some explanation. It is going to give you just what you need. So it's great. It is really great at doing that. It understands code excellently. It's taking a while, but it's thinking is actually going to come up with something, but it's taking a while. It depends on probably the traffic. This is a free version of ChatGPT, so there's always some lag or buffer, as it's called, and because it's free version, so it might not be as fast as when you are using the paid version, but notwithstanding, it's still great at getting what you want. Let's see what it comes up with. Yeah, this is a live session, so we can't. We have to wait for it to get us a response. So just give some time, and I discovered that the more you use it, the faster it gets. I think okay, looks like there's a network issue. It's actually a network issue. So let me look at my network and make sure my network is okay, and give it a try again. Let me see what my network is saying. My network is already down. Let's see. Okay, coming back. Yeah, I think my network was the issue. It should be better now. Let's see if that's okay. Let me give it a try again. And as you can see here, it actually understands that this is the second time I'm asking for this response. So it could, interestingly, ChatGPT could give you multiple response at multiple try. And so it's actually giving me the second response and probable response. So let's see what happens. Okay, so it is saying the issue you are encountering is because you are using JSX syntax directly in script tag, which is interesting because I think that is what we are looking for. Okay, interestingly, it is coming up with a right solution, and then without transpiling to standard JavaScript code that browsers can understand. And interesting, that is true, because actually, if you come back to the code and we wrote here, come back to the code, you see that this is just JSX. I mean, this JSX, this was called JSX. It's a syntax that it's not JavaScript actually. It is called JSX, and the browser does not understand this. This is not HTML, as you may think. This is our script tag, and in this script tag we should have only JavaScript, but this is not JavaScript. So that's why we have the error we got. So ChatGPT actually got it correctly, and let's see the solution it has come up with, and see if that works. Let's give that a try and see if that works. Okay, so I was actually talking about the code in the um, in VS Code. The HTML file actually has a script tag that's supposed to contain only JavaScript. But as you can see here, we have some code that is not JavaScript. It looks like HTML, but this is not HTML, this is JSX. And the browser doesn't understand JSX. So it needs something to transpile it. Something needs to transpile or convert it to JavaScript. And that is what ChatGPT is saying. That is the problem, and that is correct. So back to ChatGPT now. Let's see how we can fix this problem with what it has suggested. So now it has given us a very good suggestion. So it has said, okay, if you go through this code, it says, okay, here's how to fix the issue. Of course, it explained everything to us. I mean, everything was explained, and here's how to fix it. The first step is to include Babel CDN, which is what it has showed us here. So I'll just copy this bunch of code back to my okay, let me go through this solution first. Then the next step is to add a TypeScript to the script tag, which is what it did here. So this is script tag, and then we have a TypeScript, a type attribute that defines that this is a um, Babel script. So let's see our code again, see how we can fix this issue with the code. I'll just copy it over and then see if it works. We'll copy and try. Okay, so now we are back to our VS Code. So I'll paste that link here, the link, this one, and I also copy the second fix, which is to copy the type. I'll copy that, and then I'll also replace the tag here. I'll comment that out, and then we'll have a new script tag with the type attributes. So now I will save this code and go back to the browser and see what happens. Will it work? Let's give it a try. So we're back to the React code. We have it here. And interestingly, it has worked. Interestingly, it has worked. I mean, you can see the code coming up here. We have the code coming up here. We have the Hello React. This is a simple React app showing up now. The error we had initially has gone. We no longer have that error again, and our code works. So basically, this is just a simple way of fixing bugs with ChatGPT, and you could try this with your own code, and you'll be amazed at the solution you will get. And I want to go back to the slide and see how to round up this session. And we won't spend much time here. We've already spent a lot of time already. Let's go back to the slide now and see what we have left. Okay, so now we have gone through the steps of actually debugging our code with ChatGPT. And we see that we first of all identified the problem, then the problem was isolated by ChatGPT, and then we tried the fix. Of course, I did not go into optimizing because this is a simple code and there was no need to optimize anything. So it just worked. Of course, I could actually optimize my code again if I asked ChatGPT to do so. It could actually optimize it for me, but then no need for that. So let's go to the next thing. Let's look at some codes. So what else can I do with ChatGPT? What else can we do? There's a lot more we can do with ChatGPT beyond just debugging our code. I was already mentioning some of them already. The first thing here is to explain of code. ChatGPT can explain or can help you understand and explain complex sections of code. And probably you didn't write the code yourself and you are just on the code. It can actually help you explain what the developer thought was and why the code was there and what the code is doing. And it can also help you highlight issues with the code. Secondly, it can help you provide tips and best practices. I mean, how best can you write your code? It will actually give you tips on doing that. It could also help you generate or complete your code snippets. Of course, it could also help you refactor your code, giving you a suggestion on how best the code can be written and the best practices about the code. It could help you identify memory leaks within your code. It could also help you learn to program, learn to code. ChatGPT is a learning resource, and it can be a tutor, a guide, a mentor. It could walk you through writing programs. I mean, it's amazing at how much it can do. And then it could help you document your code, and of course, explain APIs to you. And then finally, ChatGPT can facilitate collaboration among developers by providing a platform for discussing code, sharing ideas, and getting feedback. That's what it can do. This uses demonstrate how ChatGPT can augment the software development process, providing valuable insights, assistance, and guidance to developers, ultimately improving productivity, code quality, and collaboration within development teams. So to conclude, ChatGPT is a powerful tool that can help you write better code faster. Whether you need help explaining error messages, understanding legacy code, or writing test script, ChatGPT has got you covered by taking advantage of its natural language interface and advanced AI capabilities. It's, it's like having a coding expert at your fingertips. But it's worth noting that while AI tools can greatly assist developers, they should be used as aids, as tools, and not be left alone, and not as a complete replacement for human expertise and judgment. So don't think it's going to, everything it gives you will be correct. Of course, there could be some correction that need to be made or modification that need to be made for it to work in your code. So take note of that and use it responsibly. And I want to believe this session has been beneficial to you. And thank you for joining me in this day.